10 foods, long shelf lives, and the people who know which ones are already clearing the shelves. Several items on this list have already seen significant price increases. Others are showing the early availability signals, large formats disappearing, restock dates absent, procurement managers putting them on internal watch lists. Let's get into it. Number 10, fermented black bean paste. Most Western households have never bought this. That is about to change, and the people who figure it out first will pay significantly less for it. Fermented black bean paste, doubanjiang, doenjang, and similar varieties, is shelf-stable for 2 to 3 years unopened, and up to a year refrigerated after opening. It is produced through a traditional fermentation process that concentrates both flavor and nutrition into a format that takes up almost no space. Here's the supply problem. These products come primarily from South Korea and China. Import scrutiny on fermented and processed foods from both countries has increased substantially in the past 18 months. Tariff adjustments have pushed landed costs up 25 to 40%, depending on the specific product and country of origin. Several specialty grocery suppliers have quietly reduced their order volumes or shifted to smaller importers with less reliable supply chains. The utility case is the same argument as bouillon, but stronger. 1 tablespoon of fermented black bean paste added to rice, lentils, or canned vegetables produces a depth of umami flavor that cannot be replicated by any other single shelf-stable ingredient. It is a flavor multiplier with a documented supply constraint and a price trajectory already moving in the wrong direction. The households that stock it now will eat significantly better for significantly less money over the next 2 years. Number 9, canned jackfruit, young green. This one surprises people every time, and then the numbers make the surprise disappear. Young green jackfruit in brine, not the sweet ripe version today, is one of the most structurally versatile canned foods available. Its texture under heat mimics pulled meat closely enough that it substitutes directly in any recipe, calling for pulled chicken or pork. In a pantry without reliable access to fresh protein, that substitution has real practical value. The supply pressure is specific and accelerating. India and Bangladesh produce the majority of the world's jackfruit. Processing and canning infrastructure is concentrated in a small number of facilities. 2 of the largest exporters to the US and Canadian markets have recently reduced output due to rising can costs and labor constraints at the processing level. Retail prices have moved 40% upward in 18 months. Availability in large case quantities at natural grocery chains has become inconsistent. Shelf life runs 3 to 4 years per can. Cost per can is still under $3 in most markets. The window to build a reserve at current prices is narrowing, and unlike most items on this list, there is no domestic alternative. When the import channel tightens further, it tightens completely. Number 8, whole grain miso paste, shelf stable. Miso has been fermented and shelf stabilized for centuries. The modern shelf stable version in sealed pouches holds full quality for 2 to 3 years at room temperature and significantly longer refrigerated. Most people walk past it because they have never cooked with it. That is the gap worth closing before the price closes it for them. Here's the number that tells the story. A single tablespoon of miso paste delivers more sodium, more umami, and more probiotic activity than any equivalent volume seasoning on the shelf. It dissolves in hot water into an instant broth. It functions as a marinade, a sauce base, a soup foundation, and a flavor agent for grains and legumes. 1 sealed pouch covers dozens of meals. The supply pressure mirrors the fermented black bean paste situation. Japanese and Korean producers, who supply the majority of shelf-stable miso reaching North American markets, are facing both input cost increases and the same tariff environment compressing margins. Retail prices have moved 30% in 2 years. Specialty format pouches designed for long-term storage are already showing reduced availability at natural grocers and Asian specialty chains. The probiotic and nutritional density argument is separate from the flavor argument and worth making. In a diet built on shelf-stable staples, fermented foods with live cultures provide gut microbiome support that is almost entirely absent from rice, canned goods, and dried legumes. That distinction matters over weeks, not months. Number 7, canned full-fat coconut cream. Distinct from coconut milk and worth treating separately on this list. Coconut cream is a higher concentration product, less water, more fat, more calories per ounce, with a slightly different production profile that makes it even more supply constrained than coconut milk. It shares the same geographic concentration in Thailand and Indonesia, the same aging palm stock problem, and the same case quantity availability issues at warehouse stores. But because it is a more specialized product, it is disappearing from shelves faster. The utility argument is distinct from coconut milk. Coconut cream functions as a direct substitute for heavy cream in every cooking application: soups, sauces, baked goods, coffee. Heavy cream has zero shelf stability without refrigeration. Coconut cream in a sealed can stores for 2 to 5 years and delivers equivalent richness and fat content at a lower price per ounce than fresh cream. For households trying to maintain cooking quality from a shelf-stable pantry, this is the item that closes the largest gap. Buy it in case quantities while cases are still available. Number 6. Dried chickpeas. Bulk. Everyone knows chickpeas. Almost nobody buys them in the format that actually makes sense. A 15-ounce can of chickpeas costs $1.20 to $1.80 at most grocery chains. A 25-pound bag of dried chickpeas from a warehouse or agricultural supply store costs $18 to $22 and contains the equivalent of roughly 46 cans. That is thus a cost difference of approximately 8 to 1 for the identical food. The bulk format is also showing inconsistent availability in multiple regions. The same early stage pattern seen in other bulk dry goods before those categories became difficult to source. The supply pressure is real. India produces approximately 70% of the world's chickpeas. 2 consecutive years of below average monsoon rainfall have reduced yields significantly. Australia, the second largest producer, has faced its own weather-related output reductions. When 2 of the 3 dominant producing countries have simultaneous poor harvests, global prices move and do not move back quickly. Dried chickpeas, sealed in a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber, hold full nutritional quality for 25 to 30 years. They require soaking and longer cooking than lentils, but deliver more calories per pound and a more complete amino acid profile when combined with grains. A 25-pound bag bought now at current prices is a hedge against a supply situation that is already tightening and has no short-term resolution in sight. Number 5. Nutritional yeast, bulk. This is the item with the single most underappreciated nutritional profile on this entire list, and it is quietly becoming difficult to find in the bulk format. That makes it worth buying. Nutritional yeast is a deactivated yeast, no leavening function, no refrigeration required, that delivers a complete protein profile, significant B vitamins, including B12 in fortified versions, and a savory, cheese-adjacent flavor that transforms grains, legumes, and canned vegetables into something people actually want to eat. It is one of the only shelf-stable plant sources of B12, a nutrient almost entirely absent from standard pantry staples. Production is concentrated in a small number of facilities in North America and Europe. The raw fermentation infrastructure required to produce it at scale is the same constraint that affects active yeast. It cannot be scaled up overnight. Bulk format containers of 1 pound or more are showing empty shelf space at natural grocery chains and warehouse stores with increasing frequency. Small shaker bottles remain available, but at 3 to 4 times the cost per ounce. Sealed in an airtight container away from light and moisture, nutritional yeast holds full potency for 2 years or longer. 2 tablespoons stirred into rice or beans adds complete protein, B vitamins, and enough flavor complexity to make those meals genuinely satisfying. No other single shelf-stable ingredient does that much nutritional work at that cost. Buy bulk while bulk is findable. Number 4. Canned wild salmon. This is not the same product as canned tuna, and the distinction matters more than most people realize. Canned wild salmon, specifically pink or sockeye from Alaskan fisheries, delivers higher omega-3 concentrations than canned tuna, contains edible soft bones that provide significant dietary calcium, and has a shelf life of 3 to 5 years per can. It is one of the most nutritionally dense shelf-stable proteins available. It is also one of the fastest rising in price. A 14.75 ounce can of quality wild Alaskan salmon that cost $4 2 years ago now runs $7 to $9 at most retailers. That is a price increase of 75 to 125%, depending on brand and region. The cause is structural. Alaskan salmon runs have shown significant variability in recent seasons, tied to ocean temperature shifts affecting migration patterns. The same fishery management pressures affecting sardines and mackerel are operating here, with the added constraint that Alaskan wild salmon has no meaningful substitute from a domestic sourcing standpoint. Availability of case quantities is already tightening. Retailers who carried 12 can cases reliably 12 months ago are now frequently stocking single cans only, which signals reduced wholesale availability upstream. When case purchasing disappears from retail, the price per unit typically rises further within 1 or 2 buying cycles. The time to build a reserve at current per can prices is before that next move. Number 3. Tamari and soy sauce, large format. A 1-liter bottle of quality tamari or traditionally brewed soy sauce has a shelf life of 3 years unopened and 1 to 2 years after opening. That is not a pantry staple. That is a long-term flavor asset, and it is getting harder to find in the large format that makes it worth buying. The supply pressure has 2 components. First, traditionally brewed soy sauce requires soybeans, wheat, and a months-long fermentation process that cannot be accelerated. When soybean costs rise, which they have significantly over the past 2 years. Production costs rise with a lag that hits finished product pricing 6 to 12 months later. That lag means the retail price increases for quality soy sauce are not yet fully reflected in what you are paying today. They are coming. Second, large format bottles, 1 liter and above, are a product category under quiet pressure from the same packaging cost dynamics affecting canned goods. Glass bottle costs have risen sharply. Manufacturers are quietly phasing out large format SKUs in favor of smaller bottles with better margin profiles. Once a large format SKU is discontinued, it rarely comes back. From a cooking utility standpoint, tamari and soy sauce function as liquid umami, the same flavor multiplier role as miso and fermented black bean paste, but in a format that integrates into marinades, soups, braises, and sauces without the mixing step. A single bottle covers months of cooking across a full pantry of staples. Buy large format now, before large format is a memory. Number 2, canned chipotles in adobo. This is the item with the highest return on shelf space of anything on this list. A single 7-ounce can of chipotle in adobo costs under $2 at most grocery stores and delivers enough concentrated smoky heat to season 20 to 30 individual meals. The flavor profile, smoked jalapeno pepper in a tomato vinegar sauce, is irreplaceable from other shelf-stable sources. Nothing else produces that specific combination of heat, smoke, and acidity from a single ingredient. The supply pressure is straightforward. Chipotle peppers are produced almost exclusively in the Chihuahua and Oaxaca regions of Mexico. Prolonged drought conditions in northern Mexico have reduced jalapeno yields for 3 consecutive growing seasons. Processing capacity is concentrated in a small number of facilities. Retail prices have moved 35 to 50% upward in 2 years across most major grocery chains, and availability in case quantities at restaurant supply stores, where smart buyers purchase this, has become inconsistent. Shelf life runs 2 to 4 years per can. The open contents freeze perfectly, extending usability further. For a household eating from a shelf-stable pantry over any extended period, this is the single ingredient most likely to make the difference between meals people will eat willingly and meals they force themselves through. At under $2 a can, it is also the easiest decision on this entire list. Number 1. Whole-dried porcini mushrooms, bulk. This is the one item on this list that does 3 jobs simultaneously: protein extender, flavor multiplier, and broth producer, from a single shelf-stable input that most households have never purchased. A handful of dried porcini mushrooms, rehydrated in hot water for 20 minutes, produces 2 outputs: a rich, deeply savory broth and a rehydrated ingredient with the texture and flavor intensity of cooked meat. Both outputs are usable in the same meal. No other shelf-stable ingredient on this list produces 2 distinct high-value cooking components from a single use. The supply pressure is acute. Italy and Eastern Europe produce the majority of quality dried porcini reaching North American markets. 2 consecutive years of below-average wild harvest. Porcini cannot be commercially cultivated at scale. They grow wild in specific forest ecosystems, have significantly reduced export volumes. Prices per pound have moved 40 to 60% upward in 18 months. Bulk quantities at specialty and warehouse stores are already showing significant availability gaps. From a nutritional standpoint, dried porcini deliver B vitamins, selenium, zinc, and compounds with documented immune-supporting properties at concentrations that no other dried mushroom variety matches. Sealed in an airtight container away from moisture, they hold full flavor and nutritional potency for 2 to 3 years. Here's the argument that closes the case. The broth produced from rehydrated porcini transforms every other item in a shelf-stable pantry. Lentils cooked in porcini broth, rice finished with porcini and tamari, chickpeas simmered with chipotle and porcini broth. These are not survival meals. These are meals people choose to eat. That distinction is the difference between a food reserve that functions and one that sits untouched because nobody wants to open it. Dried porcini are becoming harder to find in bulk. The harvest constraints behind the shortage are not structural in the way fishery quotas are. A good season could ease the pressure, but there is no good season on the immediate horizon, and current prices reflect that. Here's what ties all in together. Standard pantry staples, rice, beans, canned vegetables, give you calories and basic macronutrients. The 11 items on this list give you fat, complete protein, B vitamins, probiotic activity, and the flavor complexity that makes a food reserve function as an actual diet rather than a calorie count you endure. Several have already doubled in price. Others are in the early availability phase. Large formats thinning, case quantities inconsistent, restock timelines absent. Both signals point the same direction. 2 items per shopping trip, 3 trips. The cost addition at a normal grocery budget is barely noticeable. The result is a pantry that actually works, nutritionally, practically, and psychologically, for whatever comes next. The people in the best position 6 months from now acted when things still looked fine. That window is right now. Which one are you picking up first? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone. If you want to know exactly which grocery stores are quietly selling you the worst meat on the shelf, and the 3 that are actually worth trusting, watch the video on the left. And if you want to see the full list of major US retailers shutting down locations across the country in 2026 and what that means for your wallet, watch the video on the right. Don't forget to subscribe.